Well, I am a mother of a special child, and there were no programs in Delaware County, nothing whatsoever. And the man that had the bakery here in Walton, he had a special daughter, and his niece said to him, "Why don't you get something going in Delaware County?" And so I got a phone call from him in May of 1967, and he said, "I would like for you to come to a meeting at my house and see if we can talk and find something for the special children." And so when my husband came home, I said to my husband, "George Rosamando is having a meeting to get something organized for our special children. You go." And my husband said, "This time you go." So I went down to George on May the 6th, and there were 3 parents there and 2 friends. And that's how it started. And that night, George said, well, I'm going to be the president, Luella's going to be the vice president, and he said he'll be the founding father, and I would be the founding mother. When we first started, believe it or not, I wouldn't talk. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I had been a mother and a stay-home mother. And, but then a friend of mine had to take her child to Goshen. And when her child was born, her friends sort of deserted her. So she came to me and she asked me if I would go to Goshen with her to take her son to get braces. And I said, "Sure, I'll go with you." So that experience to Goshen is what really put fire into me to really want to work more and more. And that experience, my son was in kindergarten. And this friend of mine, she went in to talk with the doctor, and I stayed out with her son. And I went into the ladies' room, and Mickey couldn't walk. He crawled over and he hit on the door, and when I opened up the door, I began running and playing with him. And some woman said to me, "Is that your child?" And I said, "No, it's my friend's, but I have a child and he's home in school." And she said, "You mean you will admit it if you don't have to?" That was fighting words to me. I immediately turned my back to her because the tears had. And on a couch sat a lady and a man, and a little girl sat between them, and her name was Tina. And her little legs looked like broomsticks. She had the most beautiful smile, and I think of that child so often. And I said to the lady, "How old is your daughter?" And she said, "It isn't my daughter." She said her mother ran away with another man, and her father ran away with another woman. And my husband and I took her because we did not want her placed. And the man said to me, "Someday Tina will run down the driveway to meet me." I had to fight tears, something terrible. When I got home, And I walked in the kitchen. My husband was sitting at the table, and he said, "Now why are you crying?" And I said, "What happens to these children when their own parents don't want them?" And he brought up his hand and he said, "Crying is not the answer. Stop your crying." He said, "You are going to have to fight. And when you fight for all of them and not just Scott Michael Rogers." And they said, I haven't shut up since. So that's how we got started. George Rossamando was the one that called me, and we were at his house. And from that, we took 100 steps forward, and then we took 500 back. So we had to learn where the people to talk to. We had to learn what to do. And we asked people. We admitted we didn't know what to do. What is special? Well, first of all, we had nothing in Delaware County until Delaware County ARC was started. And as a parent, Delaware County provides programs for our children. They provide transportation, and I got to put a plug in for the membership committee. And we do all of that for $5 a year for a membership. That's how we finally we had to have 10 children in order to start a program. So it did a lot of, we had to do a lot of running around to find them. We had to convince the parents that it was okay. We had to find people to, to transport the kids. We had no money. And so it was a very big challenge. And without the support of a lot of people in Delaware County, we could have never done it. So there's so many people that I can thank. We couldn't do nothing if we hadn't had volunteers. When we first started, we had children in Hancock, Downsville, Walton, and we had a minister, a priest, that we conned into helping us. And he would get up in the altar and say, "We need some transportation." And you'd be surprised how people from the community came, and that's how we got the kids to the first program. And the people were just, they were fantastic. And they were all volunteers. They didn't get any money at all. We didn't have any, so how could we give them? So it really started with volunteers. And one Sunday, the Baptist minister announced it in his church that I needed some volunteers for the next week. And that afternoon, I had a knock on my door, and this man and woman said, "I understand that you need volunteers to help transport the kids and in the program." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, we have come to volunteer." And I said, "How did you hear about it?" He said, "At church today." So you see, once it got around, we had the help of so many people. And I for one, am very thankful and grateful